Good morning, everyone. Hi, welcome to the February OSAP recipient meeting. It's nice to wake up this morning and have this on our agenda for today. So I'm really pleased to be here to welcome all of you. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Antoinette Tone Silva Jose. I am the Prevention Executive Manager. My previous title was Director, and so due to BHSD, Behavioral Health Services, New Mexico Behavioral Health Services, change in, I guess, overall titles and dynamics, they wanted to change my title. So I'm trying this out for, taking it for a ride, and we're going to try it out. So, I'm here just to give you a very warm welcome, and I appreciate all of you being here. And what I would like to do is give some time for my staff to introduce themselves. So I would love to open the floor and have, I believe I have Carla first. So, and maybe it's just because she's on my screen, I see first. So we'll welcome Carla. Are you there? All right. Okay, there you go. I can hear you now.
Sorry, my screen froze for a second. I was like, oh no, you're gone. All right, so my name is Carla Martinez Talavera. I am the new SINAR coordinator, prevention program manager. I'll tell you guys a little bit about me and where my experience comes in from. So I was born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and I moved here when I was 7 years old. And I've lived in Santa Fe for most of my life. Went to elementary school, middle school, went to Santa Fe High, and then eventually graduated from UNM with a bachelor's degree in technology and training. The best experience that I bring to the table for this job is I was an instructor at the Santa Fe Community College. I was the lab and clinical coordinator for the dental assisting program for about 5 years. I would say that gave me some experience in prevention, just because when you talk about dental, you don't think that it has anything to do with substance abuse, but there's actually quite a good correlation because of how it affects your dental health. So I did have to take a good amount of courses, in substance abuse and how that affects the oral health. And of course, working with teens and, well, I would say mostly from 18-year-olds all the way to, I think the oldest student I had was in her 60s. So it was great experience, and I'm glad to be here because I feel like I do have good input to give on the things that I'll be working on. Other things that I've done, I also worked as a general manager at an in-home care company. After that, as a data processor for a crypto and IRA platform. And I've also done some Spanish interpreting. So I believe that all of these fields, have helped me learn so much. So I'm pretty excited to bring all that to the table and see how that helps with our prevention program. I am happily married. My husband's name is Mike. I have 2 step kids with him, and we also have a little Pomeranian puppy. His name is Fluffy, and he is very, very fluffy, very cute. I love to cook anything with red or green chili. So of course that Mexican or New Mexican food.
And it looks like we, like everyone across the state, face technical difficulties. So hopefully Carla can come back and.
I think I lost you guys there for a second.
Yeah. Okay, you're back. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not sure what you guys heard last. I think I was talking about my puppy, but I'm always cold and I
Mexican food.
Yes, lots of Mexican food, lots of red chili, lots of green chili, lots of beans and rice and potatoes and all that good stuff. So, and now I'll pass it on to whoever is next, Antoinette.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carla. May I have Jennifer?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jennifer Gould. I am the FR Care Grant Manager. I have 27 years of experience in EMS that I bring to the table. I was also the violent death data abstractor for the state of New Mexico. I've run numerous ambulance companies. I've lived in New Mexico all my life. I'm the proud mother of 2 boys and a brand new grandbaby girl. I'm not as exciting as Carla.
She is once you get to know her. Thank you so much, Jen. I have Pamela next.
Good morning, everyone. It's incredible to see all these new faces and many of the old faces. I'm Pamela Espinosa. I'm a prevention program manager with the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention. I focus on the PDO grant, but I help Tone wherever she needs me to help her. And many of you know I'm the proud mother of 4 adult children. I've been married to my husband for, I think it's 35 years now. And like Jennifer, I have my very first granddaughter. Many of you have met her in meetings. Her name is Anna Lee, more affectionately known as my sweet ladybug, and she's my little bug. And it's incredible to be back at OSAP and to continue to get inspired by all of you who do the work for so many in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. And next I have Jody.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joby Dreffs. I am a new resident of New Mexico. Literally, I've been here 2 weeks and I am happily taking it all in. I was born and raised in Nebraska. As a matter of fact, I just drove back this morning. My beau and I, 13 hours left yesterday and got in. Had to go back home and take care of some loose ends there. I am a mother of 2 adult daughters. My youngest is getting married in April, so that is exciting. And I have 2 grandsons, Orion and Otto. So those are the loves of my life. When I'm not working, I am an avid snowboarder and hiker and mountain biker. My children's father, it was a Colorado native, so I'm not new to the mountains, but I am definitely new to the mountains of New Mexico. So really excited to be here and to learn the different cultures and the foods and all of the things of New Mexico. Tone has blessed me with the position. I am the SOR grant manager. A little of my background for work and education. I started off as a legal assistant. I have an associate's degree in legal assisting, and I did that for several years as my kids were littles. Worked in a variety of different firms, litigation, government acquisitions. I did federal indictment work, family law. I actually did some tribal court law, estate and probate, a little bit of everything. And then I got my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I ended up with a master's degree in public administration. The last 17 years, I was a law enforcement officer. And in my tenure of being a law enforcement officer, most of my time was as a patrol officer. I did 4 years as a school resource officer, and really saw the drug intervention need for the littles during my time as an SRO. I developed some drug programs. It was kind of neat to see the parallel just from my time. I did a drug program called DOSE, and then to see the parallel to the drug program here was pretty cool when I did my interview with Tone. One of my specialties that I did as a police officer, I was a drug recognition expert. And that kind of ties into what we'll be doing here with harm reduction and seeing the need for harm reduction programs. And definitely I pushed a lot of Narcan when I was a road patrol officer working nights out on the street. So excited to take my law enforcement experience and apply it to the programs that we're doing here in New Mexico. So thank you, and nice to meet all of you.
Thank you so much, Joby. And thank you to my staff for all your wonderful introductions. And so now I will pass on the presentation mic to Pamela to provide us with an OSAP overview.
Thank you. So this isn't going to be as exciting as the introductions and learning about everyone. And some of you will know this, but this is just to set up how we operate as the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention. And here we go. Next slide. So this is a grant funding structure for the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention. The federal government sends down grants through the Health and Human Services Department to Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, which is SAMHSA, down to the Center for Substance Abuse Prevention, which is known as CSAP. I'm so glad the whole title and the acronyms are there. The money then comes down to New Mexico state government, and specifically to our department is the Human Services Department, and specifically the Behavioral Health Services Division, known as BHSD, and down to the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention. Next slide. Let's see what Tanya is trying to teach us with this slide. I think this replicates, but this also includes the CSAP at the federal level does a call for proposals. This is mostly for discretionary grants. So the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention submits grant applications, and then it is they are determined. I'm going to do this so I can see the entire slide. And then so BHSD through the Human Services Department then gets the money from SAMHSA, and reporting goes back to SAMHSA for all the dollars and the accountability and the fiscal responsibility. Next slide. So this will tell you who our major funding streams are. The SAPT, which is the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Block Grant. This is our most sustainable and long-term grant. This is how the US government gives out much allocated treatment and prevention dollars to all the states and territories. SPF PFS 2020, which is a Strategic Prevention Framework Partnerships for Success. The SPIF-RX, a Strategic Prevention Framework for Prescription Drugs. FR CARA, which is the First Responders Comprehensive Addiction Recovery Act, and the PDO, the Prevention Prescription Drug Opioid Overdose Related Deaths. The last 4 of those are discretionary grants that SAMHSA allowed us to apply for. This is the first time that OSAP as a system moved over to harm reduction models, including the primary prevention projects that are still included in the SAPT block grants. And Tone, at any point you want to clarify, you can jump in. So it just as the need has shifted, and there was a need for somebody to apply to the federal government for these discretionaries, a decision was made that they made the most sense to sit in prevention. Next slide. So this is a table of the communities we fund with these different funding sources. With SAPT, we have 13 communities funded across New Mexico. And like I said before, this is our longest funding stream and most consistent. These are dollars that not this year, as Tone previously mentioned, but will go out for competitive RFP probably in about a year from now. You know, we really want to take a comprehensive look at the epi data. We want to look at evaluation results, see what are working, and we want to make some thoughtful decisions on what should be the priorities as a system and as communities as we move forward with this RFP. The SPF PFS 2020, those funded communities are Doña County, the Mountain Center, Presbyterian Community Health serves 3 communities, Bernalillo, Sandoval, and Valencia, due to proximity of those 3 communities. And then San Juan County Partnership up in Farmington. SPIF-RX really focuses in the Bernalillo County area because that is our highest population. And so when this grant was written, the discretionary grants are usually minimum dollars. So decisions have to be made as how will the approach, do we go with burden, or what kind of epi data we're going to use to make the determination. So with minimum funded, the decision was made to focus on Bernalillo County. FR CARA, the First Responders Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery, we serve the city of Santa Fe, Las Cruces Fire Department, and the city of Gallup. And each of those have been very innovative on how they serve communities. So we'll talk a little bit more about what those priorities are as we continue with the slide presentation. And PDO, Prevent Prescription Drug Opioid Overdose Related Deaths, that's my program. We fund Doña County, Bernalillo County, Santa Fe County, and Rio Arriba County via the Mountain Center. They serve each of those counties with separate projects. Next slide, please. So the OSAP team, Tone Silva Jose, as most of you know her, she is our fearless leader, and she continues to do an amazing job as we transition into new staff and new priorities and continues to keep the work going. Carla Martinez Talavera, she's the SINAR coordinator and SAPT program manager. Joby Drives is the SOAR program manager. And so that's been a position that has eluded us since Melissa left. So we're glad to have that position filled with Joby. Jennifer Gould is the FR Cara program manager, and she is also transitioning. This is brand new news to also be another SAPT program manager. So if you're not already familiar with Jennifer from the FR Cara projects, you will be getting introduced to her as a partner in the SAPT programs. And that's because that's our largest funding, and we have the most programs, and Tone wants to make sure she can provide support and share that workload. And then I'm Pamela Espinosa, and I am the PDO program manager, and I am the interim SPIF RX. And as Tone is deciding how we best use staffing at this time, I'm assisting Tone with the PFS 2020. Next slide, please. So we couldn't do this work, especially during staff shortages. So we really work as a team and use expertise from other people, and that's always the best way to create a team. So the Pacific Institute for Research and Evaluation, the PIRE team, Coop Consulting, who serves as the state technical assistance provider, and Kamama Consulting, Ms. Paula Feathers, who is really an important part of continuing to train the workforce so that we can have a sustainable prevention workforce. So that is our core team with the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention. Next slide, please. So this is going to break down. I think we've said it, but you know, when we have new staff, they're like, what is SAPT, SPF, PFS? And every time Tone and I say, my goodness, almost the language we use is acronyms. And it's just, we think they're words at this point. So SAPT is the Substance Abuse Prevention and Treatment Block Grant. SPIF RX 2021. That's very important for funding and when you're billing to bill to the right year. Strategic Prevention Framework for Prescription Drugs. PDO 2021 is Prevent Prescription Drug Opioid Overdose Related Deaths. And SOAR 3 is the State Opioid Response Grants. SPF PFS 2020 is the Strategic Prevention Framework Partnerships for Success 2020. And FR Cara is the First Responder Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act. Next slide, please. So priorities with the SAPT. They continue to be to reduce underage drinking, reduce adult binge drinking, reduce adult DWI, reduce prescription opioid and illicit opioid misuse among youth and adults, and prevent youth tobacco use through SINAR efforts. And on the side, it tells you who you can get in contact. Tone is always a contact across the board for any concerns. And then, of course, Carla and Jennifer will continue to serve in this role as program managers. Next
Kamala,
slide,
can I
please.
jump in real quick before you
Yes.
change the slide? I just want to add a real quick note about our block grant section of things. And Pamela already mentioned that we're going to release a request for proposals hopefully sometime soon. But a couple of things that we're looking at with the block grant is really trying to identify if these are the same priorities that currently exist within communities and across the state. And so we're planning to ask you all, as you were out there in the communities, how things are either evolving or what you're seeing at the community level in regards to these same priorities and identify concerns. And so I'm hoping that you'll be interested to share your input about what's happening at the community level in regards to your prevention efforts around these priorities. So thank you.
Thank you, Tone. Yes, for our breakout this afternoon, there'll be some discussion about what, we don't want to make assumptions with the RFP. We really want to hear from you about what's going on in communities. So we're excited to have that conversation before we make any determinations. Next slide, please. SPIF-RX, the Strategic Prevention Framework for Prescription Drugs 2021. Goal to raise awareness about the dangers of sharing medications. Works with pharmaceutical and medical communities on the risks of overprescribing to young adults and how we use the prescription drug monitoring program data to really understand what's happening as drugs are changing and how they're being used changes. For SPIF-RX, like I said, Tone can always be contacted, and I can also be contacted for the SPIF-RX. And actually, you can reach out to any of us for any of them, and we'll ensure that someone responds to your needs. What did Jennifer say? She said, if I don't know the answer, I know somebody that does. And so we will route you appropriately. Next slide, please. The SPF PFS 20 Strategic Prevention Framework, Partnerships for Success 2020. Priority is to address polysubstance misuse with the goal of reducing overdose from the concurrent use of opioids, both prescription and heroin, methamphetamine, alcohol, and/or benzodiazepines. New Mexico implements a polysubstance use prevention initiative designed to tear down the common silos that limit flexible responses to what people who use drugs actually experience. Part of that is addressing the stigma that people face when they go to a door to seek treatment. And the polysubstance misuse is a priority because as we look at the epi data, there is such increases in the mixed use of drugs and overdose deaths due to mixing drugs. Next slide, please. Overdose prevention. Training in preventing and responding to an opioid overdose. Distribution of nasal Narcan to professional and community first responders. Media to support efforts and reduce stigma. And these priorities are funded. This is how we're complementing dollars and two of our partners with this include Burning Leving, and then also with the media campaign, Lynn and her group. And so we really try to complement and leverage funding to get the best outcomes. Next slide, please. Since 2017, 768 partners across 32 counties and dozens of partners on tribal nations, 24 of 27 county detention centers, 108 local municipal, town, and county law enforcement agencies, 880 reported reversals using BHSD-funded Narcan. And from August of 2021, our last all recipient meeting, through January of 2022, 5,841 persons have been trained in overdose recognition and response, and 10,504 Narcan kits have been distributed. And that's just amazing. You know, when I go back to the early years of Narcan distribution, and knocking on doors to do the training, people are contacting Bernie like, come do a training, give me Narcan. And it's just been an amazing response. Next slide, please. PDO prevent prescription drug and opioid overdose related deaths. So I think where we see the similarities with these programs was SAMHSA call to action, responding with dollars to the national overdose deaths. And so with this project, it's also to reduce the number of prescription drug and opioid overdose related deaths for individuals 18 years of age and older. Serves Bernalillo, Doña Ana, Rio Arriba, and Santa Fe counties. Overdose recognition and response trainings, Narcan purchase and distribution, creation and support for Narcan distribution networks. And really what that references is the relationships that providers have with other community providers, so that more Narcan can get, and training can get out to communities. It's referenced as the hub and spoke model. Next slide, please. FR CARA, First Responder Comprehensive Addiction and Recovery Act. Specifically, this is training for professional and volunteer first responders throughout the state to reduce overdose deaths and improve outcomes for survivors. Technical assistance for creation of overdose survivor outreach programs, development and support for fire departments' overdose survivor outreach programs are in Las Cruces, Santa Fe, and Gallup. And they also purchase Narcan for first responders and overdose survivor programs. So with this project, how this one's a little bit different, even though providing the Narcan and the training, they do outreach to people who have recently had an overdose. And they go out and meet with them, and also meet with the families and train them on Narcan, and train their families on Narcan and distribute the Narcan. And they follow up with those individuals. So next slide, please. SOAR. SOAR is also a grant that was released by SAMHSA to address the opioid overdose. And with this grant, we were able to include primary prevention. And so, and we do that via the PACS Good Behavior Games. And indigenous PACs, which both are, most of them are in elementary and preschools. And I think I have the PACs team experts on the line, and we can talk about that a little bit more. But it's an incredible program in how it's almost like the stigmatizing language that kids normal. It's about praising. They don't even like to use the word good and bad. So see, it's hard when I try to describe this, but it was a very creative and inventive way to go into the schools and provide primary prevention. We also do overdose prevention, education, and harm reduction, and a dose of reality campaign that's also known as ADORE. And this is the prevention side of the SOAR grant. There's also treatment side of this grant. Next slide, please. So the goal is to reduce opioid overdose related deaths through the provision of prevention, harm reduction, overdose survivor follow-up activities. Tribal Lead Program is a pre-arrest diversion for substance use disorders. And we do that Tribal Lead Program with the Pueblo Picaris. I've been listening to them.
Awesome.
Next slide, please. Tribal nations. OSAP works with tribal nations across New Mexico on primary prevention to reduce alcohol misuse and prescription opioid misuse and overdose death prevention. Next slide, please. Oh, look, it's going to let me talk about PACS good behavior games, but I have some notes this time. The purpose of PACS good behavior game is an evidence-based trauma-informed care program that utilizes positive reinforcement and contingency management to build self-regulation skills among youth. Serve students in pre-kindergarten through 8th grade classrooms through teacher training. Where this has happened, 95 school sites and school districts with 11 indigenous sites, including Albuquerque, Aztec, Carlsbad, Chama, Deming, Espanola, Farmington, Hatch, Las Cruces, Powaka, Santa Fe, Socorro, Taos, and Tucumcari. Successes for school year 21-22. The program trained over 157 new PACS teachers, 13 new administrators, and 143 new special staff. A total of 37,075 students were served. Preliminary results show I have to move this because I can't read the bottom of that slide. Preliminary results show a 51.8% reduction in spleen counts and significant statistically improvements in pro-social skills. And we might have time later to talk about the spleen. So it's a made-up word. Like I thought that was an acronym, but it's not. Anyhow, next slide, please. So that's the end of the formal presentation. Thank you for your patience as I review that. Please feel free to contact Tone with any questions that you might have about any of the projects or programs that were previously mentioned.
Thank you so much, Pamela. I was gonna put you on the spot and say, I think we need to change this to Pamela for questions. No, I'm just teasing. But thank you so much. You did really well with sharing with our recipients today about all the different grant funds we have that we receive and that we distribute back out to the communities. And part of why we do this is just to raise awareness for all of our new staff folks. And then just, it's good to a refresher in regards to what funding we have at the state level. And, because like I mentioned, priorities might change within your community, and you might identify that you see a need for maybe Narcan, some harm reduction within your community. And that is where we can connect those ties to people that are doing that type of work within your county already, or make those connections to have somebody come out and do some training for you all. And just, it's really just to share what we're doing in regards to prevention and harm reduction at the state level. So I hope that was very informative for all of you. And if you've heard this speech 1,000 times, I hope you have it memorized. No, I'm just teasing. There's a quiz later. I'm teasing, sorry. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna give some time to have our next presentation set up. And again, please feel free to use the chat for any questions, just to say hello. Turn on your cameras and, wave at us. It's good to see everyone's face and enjoying your coffee. So I'm really happy to see everybody. And I'm hoping in the future, we'll hopefully get to the point where we can have an in-person meeting and we can actually chat with each other in the hallway like we used to. So we'll see, but it looks like they're just about ready. Calling Michelle. Michelle, are you here?
I am here. Hi, Tab.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning. I love the glasses.
Thank
Look
you.
cool. All right, cool. Okay, I'll let you talk now. I'll be quiet.
All right. Well, first of all, hello. I'm Michelle Roque with Rocky Mountain Youth Corps here in Taos. And I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity to present. I'm part of the prevention team here at Rocky Mountain Youth Corps. And so just wanted to, again, just thank you all for the wonderful work, talking to all the recipients, for all the work that you're doing. I know that it's not easy, right? It's not easy all the time. And so I just want to say thank you for all your work. I feel like during these meetings, we should all present, right? Because I feel like we all have great work that we're doing, fantastic stuff. So I just want to, say that. And with that, we'll go to the next slide. All right, so before we start, for those of you that don't know what Rocky Mountain Youth Corps is, basically we're mostly a conservation-based program. However, it was really interesting that as part of the prevention program this year, we were able to be granted an AmeriCorps grant. And so this actually gave us the opportunity to have our own boots on the ground with our own public health crew, like members. And so I just want to play this little video and just give you a background overview. So we'll play the movie.
I think Rocky Mountain Youth Corps is just about cutting through. Corps is so much more than just boots on the ground. It will change your future forever.
This program has so many opportunities.
And Andrea, if we could back it up a little bit. I think I speak for all of us. I can hear the sound, but I can't really see the movie. But
Oh, thank you for
thanks
letting
so
me
much.
know.
I really appreciate you helping me with this.
Let's try this one more time in a different format. Oh, Jennifer's here to save the day. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer, I see it up on your screen, but it's not playing.
If you have college debt, or if you're thinking about college, we have a scholarship program.
Is it playing now? The video is not, but the audio is.
Brought me hope for my is gonna put me in more.
Let's start that again. How about that?
If you think Rocky Mountain Youth Corps is just about cutting trail, you're wrong. The Corps is so much more than just boots on the ground. It will change your future forever.
Same issue.
So many opportunities. Everybody's super friendly,
Is
willing
it-
to help,
can you guys
willing
hear
to
it?
give an extra hand. Until I came to Rocky Mountain, I didn't really think about the opportunities they had.
If you have college debt, or if you're thinking about college, we have a scholarship program.
Same issue, Jennifer. It's the volume is playing, but the video is not. I apologize, Michelle. We thought we had it dialed here, and apparently we don't. Let me try one more time.
Good. I am so glad I'm off the hook from this video because it could be worse than this. So I really appreciate you guys handling this.
Let's see if this will work.
I think Rocky Mountain Youth Corps is just about cutting trail.
How are we doing? Is it visible to everyone?
Yes.
Corps is so much more than just boots on the ground. It will change your future forever.
This program has so many opportunities. Everybody's super friendly, willing to help, willing to give an extra hand. Until I came to Rocky Mountain, I didn't really think about the opportunities they had.
If you have college debt, or if you're thinking about college, we have a scholarship program.
It's brought me confidence. It's brought me hope for my future. It's gonna put me more ahead in life than what I originally expected.
Whether you want to be in conservation or biology or psychology, or you want to run your own business, Rocky Mountain Youth Corps can help you get there. We deliver the personal and professional development opportunities to help you accomplish whatever your goal is. Rocky Mountain Youth Corps is just the beginning.
They're literally a stepping stone to my future. They're already giving you a hand for help. All you gotta do is just grab it.
Great, thank you so much. So basically, that was an overture of like our organization here, and that, we just work really closely with youth and youth engagement. And like the participants said, we're kind of a stepping stone to, those future opportunities. And so, yeah, with that, the next slide. So just want to introduce our prevention team. So as we know, everyone, as people have said, it takes a village. And so I could not, of course, do this work all on my own. And I'm really thankful for my team. And so I just want to introduce David, who's our associate director, Candace, who's like my right hand, my prevention assistant, Cassandra Romero, as some of you know her, she's the preventionist that I stepped up into her role. She's still with us very, very part-time. And then we have Liz Lilliot, which of course, some of you know, she's amazing. So again, could not do it without this team. I love the quote here on the left. It says, "No one can whistle a symphony, but it takes a whole orchestra to play it." So again, just couldn't do it without the team. I think they're super important for this and just wanted to give them like a little shout out. So next slide. Again, a part of our team is our new AmeriCorps Public Health crew. So again, with this new grant that we were granted, these 3 individuals are in the schools. They are doing wonderful work. They are there to help bolster mental health and to just promote overall wellness for students. And so we're really excited to have them also on our team. And I'll introduce them. They're Angelina Frescas, is on the bottom there. On the right-hand side is Faith Martinez, and then the left is Casey Romero. those are our public health crew team. Next slide, please. All right, so we're talking about youth engagement mainly. And so in order to do that, all of our strategies kind of involve, our youth and youth engagement, but the A1D or ATOD, alcohol, tobacco, and other drug strategies is one that we wanted to highlight. This was one that has persevered and flourished. And even through the pandemic, we were still able to do really good work on this strategy. And so I just wanted to highlight this a little bit. Next slide. All right. So first of all, not to be the Debbie Downer, right? But not everything is rainbow and sunshine, and everything works out perfect and great. And so I just want to, first of all, do the challenges of working on the A1D. So the alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Sorry. Can you tell I'm nervous? All right. So I'm just going to go through these. So these are three main challenges that we have, seen throughout, and even with the pandemic, I think more so now coming out of the pandemic, but so participation and buy-in from all offices of the schools. So thankfully for us, like at the high school, we had a huge champion, and that was the main counselor, and she's been like super, super helpful, amazing. But I wish that her enthusiasm would spread to the rest of kind of the team, or like the admin, or like, and not saying that we do have great relationship with the school board as well. So I feel like those two big things have made a difference in how we do our A1D work. And so just if we had that enthusiasm from all offices within the schools, how much more work we could do. So the second one was retention and recruitment. This is with, I think, everyone. So when we were hiring our new public health crew, we wrote the grant for 8 crew members. And as you saw, we only had 3. And that is just because everyone is short-staffed, everyone is trying to recruit. And so we've had that challenge as well, not filling all those spaces and not being in all the schools and all the project sites that we had originally wrote the grant for. And then number 3 is turnover in the schools. So again, with the staff shortages and everything, you run into a lot of different people, new faces, and it's all great and good, but it's like you're having to go back and tell the story and tell the importance of why we need this work, all over again, and just building those relationships, which takes time. And so within building those relationships, it's just a slow process. Whereas, if like Nisha, the school counselor, she's worked with us for a long time, known our like whole mission and vision. And so she's in it, you know what I mean? She's really gung ho, but like if we were to ever lose her, getting, on board with a new counselor and everything, the buy-in, again, it goes back to the buy-in. So with that, ever in doubt, remember, never give up, never surrender. So that's just put in there for like a funny moment. And that also just to remember to celebrate the wins, no matter how small. So this, I feel like I preach to the choir, preach to myself, because like I said, we had wrote the grant for 8 crew members to come on, and we only were able to retain 3. So for me, it was like I wasn't able to like fully check off that box of like, oh, we got 8, and so of course it's like it brings this discouragement, this kind of like, oh, I'm failing kind of feeling. But then it's like my team, right? My team is amazing. They're always like, hey, we got 3, you have to be happy with, like, we have 3 people, they're in the schools, they're doing good work. Like, we have to, be happy with the little tiny accomplishments. So just want to give you that little nugget of wisdom. Next slide. All right, so here's our achievements list. And before I kind of go through this, I just want to know, like, people in the chat, or you can use the reaction. So how many of you have this strategy? I'm just kind of curious. Or another question would be, how many of you within the work that you do, it involves youth engagement? All right, cool. Thanks for your participation, everyone. All right, so just curious. So here's our achievement list. Just going to read through it a little bit. So again, part of this is we partnered with a funded direct services program. So Project AMP through C4 Innovations. Project AMP is a huge and really neat organization. They offer near peer mentoring for students. And this is mainly what our public health crew is doing. They're going in, they are, they're implementing the SBIRT, which I'll talk a little bit about later, and then they're doing one-on-ones with students, so mentoring sessions, so they can talk anywhere from like their strengths to their interests to substance misuse, any and all of it. So it's really neat. This Project AMP program in the past has provided 373.5 direct mentor service hours to the youth in our 3 high schools. And that's just here in Taos. So imagine where this is implemented everywhere else, the impact that they're having and the impact that Project AMP has brought. So next one is Rocky Mountain Youth Corps was asked to lead the school wellness committee, and then that we also have a great relationship with our current school board members. Sorry, that's supposed to say members, not member. Another typo. And so again, this is really, I think, a huge thing is that if you are working on your ATOD strategy, if you don't have that buy-in from admin, I really feel like you should take it to your school board, because we have the backing of the school board, which is huge. It's super huge. So just another like avenue or another way to like kind of, come at it. If it helps, try the school board. It makes a huge difference. All right. So we sent out school newsletters, with wellness content to district-wide schools. So this included Cuesta, Penasco, Taos High School, Taos Middle School, Enos Garcia, Vista Grande, Taos Academy. So, and part of this I think it was last fiscal year, we included our refuse to provide alcohol to minors for school-age kids. And we'll get to see some of that a little later. Another achievement is we have another year of leading the School Wellness Committee. So this is a sub-coalition of the Taos Alive Community Coalition that we partner with. We hold a meeting every month, and we just hold a space to discuss the needs for the schools. And one thing that we've run into is that a lot of these meetings don't have anybody from the schools attending them on and off. And so it's like we offer this as like an extra support and an extra boost. And then half the time people from the schools don't even attend. And I'm not going to say that that's always the case, but I've seen that, with everybody being short-staffed and thinly stretched, like it's not their fault. And I'm not trying to put blame on anyone. I'm just saying that we offer this and that it's not being fully utilized to like the potential that it could, right? But again, talking about having that champion in the school so that, the school counselor, whenever she can make it, she makes it to these meetings. She's like, this is what we need. We could really use this. And she was really a great part of this grant that we wrote. She actually helped us write it. So again, just holding these meetings was huge to get our foot kind of in the schools as well. 2 more achievements. So we have the Public Health Corps, AmeriCorps project that we started. And this is to build capacity in the schools for promoting wellness and promoting near peer mentoring for the students. So they have the Project AMP mentoring training and a little bit about that. Last, hopefully on our achievement list is our upcoming ASFS, so Annual Strategies for Success. We plan to do that in the spring in the schools this spring, I'm sorry. I'm so used to saying in the fall because that's when we usually hold it. And we were not able to do it in the fall. So now we are really pushing to get it done this spring. So this is our achievements list. Next slide. All right, so really talking about our public health crew because it's just amazing, again, that we got this grant. So I'm gonna very much brag about it. It's amazing. So it's a pilot program. This is the first of its kind, and it is funding for the next 3 years. Our goal when writing this is for a minimum of 500 students to be serviced, which right now we are in the process of. But we hope to, of course, check off that box the best we can. So they go into the schools and they implement SBIRT, which is screening, brief intervention, and referral to treatment screening. So based off of like these 10 questions, the students will rank low, middle to high risk. And based on where they rank on what they put, anybody, of course, is eligible for the near peer mentoring, but we want to actually go to that low to mid risk and make sure that they're getting mentoring sessions. Whereas at the high risk, we're still offering the mentoring, but at that point, it's kind of like they need the extra support to have the referral to treatment of whatever they're dealing with, right? So that's kind of the overall point to that. And so again, they do the screening and then the near peer mentoring. Within the mentoring sessions, they offer students anywhere from 4 to 6 sessions, and these usually take about an hour each. And again, they have a curriculum that they kind of set in case, like, you know, things are kind of quiet or they're still trying to learn about the student. Or, you know, if a student is really talkative and they're like, I just want to talk about my mom and how she's annoying me, you know what I mean? Or, you know, whatever the case may be, like they're there just to be that sounding board, right? And we know even without the pandemic, but coming out of a pandemic, that everybody could use somebody to talk to, right? So, I mean, even me as an adult, it's like, I'd love to have 4 to 6 sessions of somebody just to listen to me and all the craziness that's going on in my life, or, you know, what I deal with. And so imagine the students having this opportunity and being able to express themselves and just have that trusted person to just go to. So there's that. Lastly, they're as a support to the schools with the students. So for youth engagement, mental health, and well-being overall. So also, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat or raise your hand or come off mute. I do not have to be talking this entire time. But next slide. All right, so we are almost to the end. So part of the newsletters that we've sent out, here's some of the content that we've provided. This is not all of it, of course, but this is just some of the examples of it. So this last one, we put like healthy and unhealthy ways of coping. We've had our Refuse to Provide Alcohol to Minors campaign that was huge last fiscal year. And so we're continuing with our little posters and the main message. This yellow one at the top is actually a brand new one that we're going to be putting out next month. So we're still tweaking it. But I'm just wondering how many of you one, if you are doing alcohol with any of your grants, and then 2, do you know about these new emerging alcohol products, such as alcoholic ice cream, whipped cream, and Mountain Dew now has their own alcoholic beverage, which is really interesting. So it's out there, guys. So we are just not promoting it. I'm sorry, that was like totally the wrong word, but we are wanting to bring awareness to parents, because if you look at those cans side to side, they look very similar. So we're just wanting to really get the message out there. And I'm sorry, I heard somebody.
It's me, it's Tone. Sorry to interrupt you. Could you elaborate a little more in case somebody hasn't heard about it? Is it in New Mexico yet? And are you hearing anything from the youth that they have a preference for it, or what's the word on the streets?
Yeah, we see these at our local Albertsons. So it's here. It's definitely here. We've seen some of these alcoholic products. And as far as the youth, I'm very interested to see what the youth have to say, because I'm sure they're all in the know way before even we knew about it, right? So more info on that, because I don't have the answer to that particular question, but I'm also very interested to see what youth have to say about it. So yeah, thanks, Tone, for your question. And just to elaborate, yeah, there's also like these alcoholic popsicles, you know, the Arizona green tea also has their own alcoholic beverage. And if you look at those cans side to side, there's very subtle differences. So like if, you know, heaven forbid, if a child got their hands on this, like unless you investigated the can, it looks just like the non-alcoholic version. And so that's what makes them kind of extremely dangerous and like a little bit scary. So yeah, there's that. So that goes out next month, kind of in our Taos news, just to bring, again, awareness to parents and just people in general. And so with that, we have, sorry, there's a lot going on here. Candace, go ahead. I saw your hand.
Hi. Good morning, everybody. My voice is kind of crackly this morning. Apologies. I just wanted to say you're doing a great job with the presentation, and also just to say, doing the ground survey with Michelle, us going stop to stop really opened our eyes as to who's violating the law in some areas and who's not, and what, just to be more connected with the community has really helped open my view of the alcohol initiative as well. So I just wanted to add that. And yes, there's popsicles and all kinds of stuff. We haven't yet seen the whipped cream in our local market, but I think that's just like a specialty item that you have to get through the website or something like that. But yeah, these new products are out there. So just working with your retailers in your areas and urging them to kind of see our point of view is, and the youth's point of view as well, as to where those easy access points are in the store and how good their security is like a big indicator of how the youth are getting their alcohol. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Candace, for talking on that. And yeah, she's a great team member. She's amazing. She's like totally on top of it, which I love. But yeah, it's very interesting again for, just going into the stores and being like, who has what now? And that we're seeing a lot of these new products just popping up all over the place. And so keep that on your radar, everyone.
Michelle,
Yeah, go for it.
sorry for the interruption. I really want to thank you for this wonderful information. I was just thinking right now, when the students are in school and you think that they're drinking tea, now we don't know anymore. Maybe it's alcohol, and I don't know, administration may not be aware of this, This is a good, really good information, I think. Thank you so much. We need to be more aware now, huh?
We do. No, thank you for bringing that up. And I think part of this is like, going to the school board, going to the admin, going to the teachers, going to the principals and being like, can we give you this presentation? Like, look, did you know about these? Because like a lot of other folks, they're just barely finding out about it. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. It is a super scary world out there for sure. Yeah, for sake of time, I'm just going to go to the next slide, but yeah, here's some of our content. But yeah, this is like a big one. So this is our youth poster that we've included. And so basically it's just highlighting ways to engage youth to have fun without substances. So hug, giggle, wiggle, celebrate, draw, hike, giving them alternatives. And so we just love the cute little dancing bear. And we thank our coalition for all this because that's how our poster came together. So just ways that we, bring awareness to adults and then bring awareness to our actual youth in the schools. All right, last one, just about done. So time for reflection activity. So what would you like to take away and possibly implement or plan in the youth engagement work that you do? And you can write this down. You can write this in the chat. You can unmute yourself. I'd love to hear from you. And or how are ways that you all engage with the youth in your communities? Awesome. Haley in the chat says harm reduction messaging for the summer could be separate coolers at your barbecue, one for kid-friendly options and one for alcoholic beverages. Avoid a mix-up. No, most definitely. Thanks for that. All right. Going once, going twice. All right. Well, thank you. Oh, so we've developed a Teens in Action Youth Council. Oh, Jonna, that's awesome. Talking with youth on a regular basis. Awesome. Thanks, Tone. And then we provide events as an alternative to ATOD. That's great. Fantastic. Yeah, just wanted to see what else anybody else is doing out there. Social media campaigns. Oh, that's really neat, by Student Senate at tribal schools. Very awesome. Thank you guys for participating, giving out ideas, becoming more engaging in youth activities, implementing activities and with education. Fantastic. Thank you all for participating. And yeah, that's the end of my presentation and highlights. So thank you for listening, and my email's on there. And thank you guys so much again for the opportunity.
Yay. Thank you. Let's give Michelle a round of applause. I mean, I really wish we were there in person. You can hear us, but you can do the virtual one. Thank you so much. I love your engaging questions and your reflection questions as well. I mean, I appreciate it. It makes me think, because not only should we think about that as prevention professionals, but everybody and anybody should be thinking about how are we working with our youth about just the ongoing issue of alcohol access in general. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Appreciate you providing this wonderful presentation. I did have one question, because I am interested to find out where you received your funding to do the public health crew, the pilot project for the SBIRT.
Yeah, it's an AmeriCorps grant.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That public health crew pilot program, they just came out with it after the pandemic. So if you need more information, I can get it for you.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Again, thanks so much. It was a really great presentation.
And that Project AMP that inspired that, the AmeriCorps work came from just going to a conference, and people were looking for new sites to research. So they participated in this research as funded by the evaluators evaluating the research. And so that moved on to the AmeriCorps piece. So since they had such great relationships with the schools, they very quickly were able to jump in and
fit it in there. Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So to continue on our wonderful journey across our agenda, we have up next Miss Paula Feathers with our prevention training system. So I'll let her have the mic.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here in meeting with you. We're in 2023 right now, and I just feel incredibly blessed to still be working in the projects that we're working on under OSAP. My name is Paula Feathers, and I am with Kamama Consulting. I have been running the training system now since about 2010, and it's one of the greatest joys that I have. Really blessed to be doing what I love to do as a profession. And I am here to talk to you a little bit about the training system. So a lot of you have used it before, but some of you might be new. And so I'm going to give a short overview about the system and what it can do for you. If you are familiar with your contract, the Strategic Prevention Framework is a really important foundational piece for the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention, or OSAP. And almost everybody's contract who's funded by OSAP is broken down into the Strategic Prevention Framework. So the first section of your contract is assessment and then capacity, and it goes all the way through evaluation. And the beautiful thing about OSAP is that they value capacity building so much that they put funds towards training all of the preventionists. And our training system is primarily geared to the SAPT providers. That's who our funding comes from. So the training system really focuses on the prevention piece. And there are other grants like the harm reduction and some of the Narcan things. We're really blessed to have other people provide training for those areas. And we get to focus on the prevention piece, which is my passion and my love. let's see here. And just to kind of remind people of the contractual obligations that you have and how we support that. In your contracts for SAPT and PFS 20s, each full-time preventionist that's paid with OSAP funding has to take a minimum of 30 continuing education hours every year. So between July 1, which started in 2022, and then June 30th of this year, it's really important for any full-time staff to make sure you get those 30 hours in as part of your contractual requirements. And it's also really important that it's a contractual requirement that all staff take ethics and then the substance use prevention specialist training. It used to be called the SAPs, but we're adjusting our language the way the nation is adjusting it to be less stigmatizing. And we're using the substance use opposed to a substance abuse. So it's the substance use prevention specialist training. And then like a personal story, when I first started in prevention back in 2002, around then, I didn't take the SAPs. It was called something different then, but I didn't take it for like 2 or 3 years. And then when I finally took it, I couldn't believe that I waited so long. Like it just everything made sense after I took the SAPs, like the whole prevention theories, a lot of those things, even, if you've had some college it just isn't covered. And so that's the really nice thing about our training system is that we focus on prevention trainings to help you be the best preventionist that you could be in your community with training opportunities. Each staff paid out of the grant at least a quarter time or higher has to submit a Form C. And the Form C documents how many training hours that you've taken just to monitor those, if you're staying in compliance with the required training that you have. And then the last, one of the last contractual requirements that OSAP has that they support through the training system is that at least one staff member needs to work on becoming credentialed within 2 years. And all of our trainings help you to get to that credentialing. The training that we provide is approved by the New Mexico Credentialing Board, and we ensure that they align with the domains and all of the things that help you test when it is time for you to test. Let's see. And this one is just an overview. You're also going to get a copy of the presentation. And so I included a little bit of information in there. I'm talking about it, but it's also listed in the bullet points too, just in case you want to reference it later on. All right. And then who can use the training system? Everybody who's funded by OSAP with under SAPT dollars and PFS $20, and then some of the other ones I think SOAR, you can also use the training system for free. That's one of the benefits about being funded by OSAP is that anybody who's funded by OSAP can use the training system for free. You can take the training in all of the trainings that you want. It doesn't, even though it says your contract says 30 hours if you're full-time, you could take as many as you wanted within the year. There's no max. And it's really helpful to think about the core team as the people who help you be successful in your community. And so sometimes you can't always, you can't give them stipends, you can't give them food, and you want to acknowledge them and thank them for helping you in the community work that you do. Some people love to attend training. And if there's people in your community that help you with your program, put them on the core team list and have them attend the training also for free. You can have up to 7 people on your core team. And the important thing to remember is that you can update your core team list. So if there's turnover or you want to add somebody new to your core team list, you can do that every month. The key is just to make sure that you get that information into OSAP. And I'll show you another diagram in a minute that shows you the process before the end of the month, because then the core team list kicks in at the very beginning of the month. And so that's when changes can happen. We are also a little bit flexible if you get a new staff in the middle of the month. If they're added to the core team by the next month, they're not charged for training, so it's just important to keep your core team updated. And then the trainings also offer an opportunity for other people, for you to interact with other people, because we have the local DWI counts, service providers, tribal communities, a lot of other people use the training system also. And so it's an opportunity to network with other preventionists across the state. And let me change the view a little bit. Okay. So this is just a diagram of what to do, how to get people on the core team. And there's been a slight change since Heather has left. For if you want to update your core team list, you will now send those to Carla. So any new additions, you just email your core team list to Carla at OSAP, and you'll, like as I mentioned, you'll get a copy of this presentation, and so you'll have that information available. And then just ask her. Our Kamama team doesn't have any authority, like we don't have the authority to update or change the core team list. We get that directly from OSAP. And so any changes that need to happen, you would communicate that to Carla. And then at the beginning of the month, they send us a new core team list. All right. And then I wanted to show you a little bit of our website, and then also kind of going into the core team list. Let me pull that up. Okay, and I think Andrea put our website up for you all to see. Okay, so this is the website that you go for registrations, for our policies, anything that you need to know about the training system. You can find it at NewMexicoPreventionWorkforce.org. And then if you ever have questions about your core team, if you click on the training registrations, which is what I just did, you'll see at the top of the page, there's a thing that says core team. If you under here, there's a link that says check to see if you're a core team member. You can click on that, and it gives a list of everybody who we've gotten from OSAP about who is on the core team list. And that's there. And so if you find that you're not on the core team list and you think you should be, that's like the perfect opportunity for you to get in touch with OSAP and let them know that updates need to be made. All right. We should be having our new training schedule coming up sometime soon. Probably within the next couple of weeks is when we'll release the fourth quarter training. Okay, let me pull up my other. Oops. Oh, there was something else that I wanted to show you on our website, and I forgot to do it. So not only do we offer training throughout the year, we also have some resources that are available all the time. You can, they're not eligible for continuing education hours. Since we are a approved provider, we have to strictly adhere to the New Mexico Credentialing Board for behavioral health professionals, their continuing education requirements. And so we don't offer, we have these capacity building trainings that are available all the time. We don't offer CE continuing education hours for them because you're supposed to have them in order to get CEUs, they have to be a monitored training. And these ones are available all the time, but they're a resource. And the one that I wanted to point out to you is this newest one. It's the Excel training, and it's been revised recently, and it is extremely helpful for anyone who would like assistance with Excel. And our training team works really hard to make sure that the trainings are applicable to what you need in your community. And this Excel training has been revamped so that it completely helps you with the new work plan. The way that it's been put into a spreadsheet, it uses that as an example, and it takes you through the work plan and how to do different things to help you adjust your work plan, and also the data dashboards that are required with your final reports. And so again, these are resources that are available all the time. We have Excel, we have fiscal management. This can just help you with like accounting or thinking about timesheets and things like that. And then we also have an introduction to using the strategic prevention framework. And even though these are not facilitated courses, you're welcome to contact us when you have questions. Recently, we had somebody complete the strategic prevention framework online resource, and they didn't understand one of the quiz questions, and they emailed me, and we had a conversation about it. And so we're always here, and our team is all about making the training system the best possible experience, and we like to be a resource. And then Michelle went before me, which was which is really great to hear. Michelle has contacted us in the past for assistance with working with the school board. And so even though we're a training system, we also like to serve as a resource. She asked for some information about cannabis when it was coming out, and we were able to send her some of the information that we had from our trainings. And so also don't just think about us as training only, but we're also a resource that you can, if you need any guidance about other information or trainings that we've had, some materials, we're more than happy to help with that. We do evaluation, and we use it a lot. And so if we're going to switch up our evaluations a little bit because our response rates are going down a little bit for our quarterly report, and as a result, we're making some changes to get the best data possible. And so instead of doing quarterly evaluations, we're going to switch it to doing immediate, like 6-week follow-ups. And those are extremely important to us because they ask you, how have you applied this training in the last, since you took the training? Because that's the ultimate measure of success when it comes to training is, did this help you and have you been able to use it? And so for those of you who are used to the training system, there's that's a little change that's coming. And for those of you that are new, please complete those follow-up evaluations. We use the data. We really work to improve our system consistently, and we can only do that with your help and your feedback. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, could you put the poll up really quick, Andrea? Thank you so much. So if you could just answer this question really quick. The Kamama team sent out a survey last week to coordinators and managers and supervisors. If you received that invitation, could you just please click yes? And if you did not get the invitation, like if you're a preventionist or in another role, put no. So if you'd please answer the poll really quick, that would be fantastic.
We have results coming in.
Thank you, Andrea.
Looks like we have about 32 of our 64 participants. I'm just going to give it maybe 5 more seconds. And it looks like those responses are slowing down a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and share the results.
Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate it. Okay, good. So almost half and half. So for those of you that said yes, that you did receive the survey last week, if you have not done it yet, we have maybe about over a third of the responses back. If you haven't done that, if you could please respond to the poll, that would be incredibly helpful. It's helping us gauge the helpfulness of the training system, what we might be doing well, and any areas that we can improve. For training to be successful, it requires a lot of things, like, the providing the training, that could be applicable, but the supervisor's role is also extremely important in supporting the people going to the training, like letting them be able to go to the training and not be disturbed, encouraging them to use what they've learned in trainings. And so for those of you who received the survey, and if you'd please fill that out, that would help us so much, and we really appreciate it. And you do get a little bit of stipend, so don't forget that. And I think, let's see here, I think that is it. That's what we have for the training system. And this is my amazing team. We have a really big system. We offer over 30 training days a year. We have a website. We do online registration. We have databases where you can pull your certificates. And all of that is possible because of Noah and Shannon and Contretta, just an amazing team who is dedicated to providing the best training system possible. That's all I have, Tone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paula. I just really appreciate the work and time and energy it takes for you to run our wonderful training system, and you are doing an amazing job. And I just really love the trainings that are held in the training system. And so I hope everybody who's brand new will please sign up for trainings. And if you aren't brand new, please sign up for trainings anyways. It's always good to to continuously get refreshers, renew the information that you learned in the past. And it's good to learn from one another as well, because I miss those conversations that we would have during trainings where it would get you to think about, you know, what are we doing, and maybe something we need to try different. So, but it's always good to take that opportunity for professional development. So thank you so much. Woo, all righty. Thank you, Paula. So I am going to peek at my agenda. And so we have time for a break. We wanted to make sure to incorporate breaks throughout our day because Zoom fatigue is real. So please, I'm going to tell you what I told my staff is get up, stand up, walk away from your desk and come back in a little bit. So we will reconvene back about 10:45. So you'll hear me hollering back. Please return for that presentation because it'll be me. You get to hear my voice again, but I'll be talking about something very interesting, which is billing. So I'm hoping to share with you all of that information about billing and what we have some updates on. So please stay tuned and I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see everyone again. So I am going to open my PowerPoint and I hope we can all see it together. Let me. I don't want that. Okay. Let me move it over here. Okay, but okay, maybe I have to start sharing first. So let me share this. All righty. Do you see the full presentation or do you only see the?
As of right now, we see all slides.
Okay. Now you should only see billing updates. Can you see that?
We still see the slide panel to the left of the presentation. So.
Oh, okay, I see. Let me see. Better?
It's still in the same,
Still the
same view. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So apparently having this, having multiple screens doesn't always help. So let me see. Nope. Okay.
Town, if there's anything I can do to help, if you want to email me your presentation, I'm happy to bring it up on my screen if that'd be helpful.
Okay, I just want to make sure I can share. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see it now? Nothing?
Yes, looks good.
Oh, all right. Oh, okay, welcome back, everyone. Oh, so sorry. So with our, I'm happy to bring you this presentation about billing updates. And so just to start from the very beginning and give you an idea of where we are and where we plan to go for this year. I'm hoping not to take too much of your time here, but I also want to make sure you can ask any questions. You're welcome to ask questions at the end if it's helpful. Stop me mid-sentence, whatever you need to do. I will ask my staff to please check the chat if there's anything that creeps up to interrupt me and let me know if I need to address anything or clarify anything as we go through this. So let's begin. So anytime we have a brand new provider or a brand new staff member, we want for you to call us up, email us, and let us know that we need to register you into the BHSD STAR system. So if you haven't heard of STAR yet, or if you are well familiar with STAR, I roll my eyes because I know STAR isn't our best friend, but more like our frenemy. And so with STAR, we utilize that as it's two-pronged. So one is to enter your billing. One is to make sure you're submitting your supporting documentation, tell us what work is happening on the ground. And the second piece, how we use that information that you're putting into the system is for reporting. And so you might be like, I've never seen no reports. That's because it happens on the backside of STAR. And so I'm happy to share with you what that looks like going forward. And so we use the STAR system for different grant fundings to do some reporting on maybe then the purchase of, let's say for instance, the purchase of Narcan. How much did our providers purchase of Narcan? Or say for instance, how much funding was spent on environmental strategies? How much money was spent on information dissemination? And so we utilize that on the background of the STAR system. So as you can see on my slide here, these are just some general reminders. We strongly encourage each provider to have at least at minimum 2 staff people registered in STAR. You can have more than that, FYI. You can have more than that. If you have any concerns about registering people, send us an email, send me an email, and let us know if you have any issues. And some of you have got this down packed and can send an email and already know what to provide, which I appreciate those folks out there who take it upon themselves to, learn what you need to do and send it in. But of course, like I said, don't ever feel any way about reaching out to us to ask us, hey, can you help us register? We're happy to do that because there's sometimes STAR can ask you some confusing questions. So, but we'll be there to help you. In addition to being registered in STAR, we want to provide you training. So I will tell you, yes, BHSD STAR does provide training videos and guides, and they want to show you how to do billing, but we want to show you what we require of you in regards to your billing as well. So please reach out to a program manager and reach out to me, CC me, and let me know, hey, Tone, I need some training. Can you just walk us through? And so I am here, we are all here to learn and help one another. And of course, the reason why I want you to reach out to your program manager is because they're also in the process of onboarding and learning, and we're all gonna do this together as a team. And so we're here to help one another. The last piece of information on this slide is hopefully valuable to you. This explains that we enter billing using what we refer to as the CSAP 6. And I put a screenshot, which you should be able to see in your billing. And if you don't see these, let me know. And this is, the CSAP 6 is primarily for, let's say, for instance, our block grant providers. Now, I know we have FR Care providers on here. I know we have PDO providers on here, and we might have SOR providers on here. So the different discretionary grants, these categories will vary. And so if your categories don't all look the same, that's okay. And typically I review those and make sure that you as a consultant, you as a provider, you have the right identified categories to bill to. And so if you ever have any questions or issues, just holler and let me know, give me a call, shoot me an email. And so We want billing entered by strategies or activities, or let's say, for instance, if you're doing a particular coordination of activities, a particular purchase of Narcan. So that's part of how the billing is set up. You'll see this green box that says add service, and they call it turquoise. This is like a teal green to me, if you ask me. But anyways, that's where the section is where you add a service, and gives you for the block grant providers the CSAP 6. This is just an example, again, specific to block grant providers. But as I mentioned, other grant providers, you'll see a little bit different variation. Alrighty, so the next piece of our billing information download today is that when does billing happen? When is the best time to do billing? Now, you have options. Okay, first option, number one, you can bill on a monthly basis. So say, for instance, you want to bill for the month of January. You have till the end of February, the last day of February, to bill for the month of January. If you choose to bill twice a month, you have 2 dates in which to get that information in. So say, for instance, you're going to bill for the first week of January. Not the first week of January. You want to bill for the first part of January. You have till 11:59 p.m. on January 15th to bill for those first 15 days. So from January 1st to the 15th, you have an option to bill for any expenses that occurred, checks were cut, whatever was paid during that time frame. You can bill that for the first half of the month. Now, the second piece, you can bill, if you bill twice a month, you will bill the remaining portion of the month by the last day of the month. So January, is it the 30th or 31st? But whatever day it is, I don't have a calendar in front of me. Whatever day is the last day of January, that's when you will submit your billing as well. Of course, keep in mind of weekends, keep in mind of, I just have to pull up a calendar because I want to be able to look at it myself. If you identify that the last day of the month is on a weekend, then you want to be prepared and shoot for, that Friday before the last day of the month to enter your billing, so that you're doing it during the work day. So the last day of February is on a Tuesday, which means, according to this slide, your invoice will generate on March 1st, if we're talking about the month of February. I hope that wasn't confusing at all. Sorry about that. So those are the two options. You can bill per month or twice a month. Now, if you are working on billing and you see, you're like, Tone, I have all these activities coming up. They're all going to happen on Tuesday, the 28th. I know I will not get in my billing. There's still more options. So one idea that I encourage providers to do, so that you're not backlogged, or you don't have to do additional work to submit an open billing window request, which will be our next slide, is you can enter just one line of billing. One line of billing. And it doesn't have to necessarily be an exact amount. I'm not an exact amount. How do I say this? You can enter one line item for one activity for $1. And it provides you 30 days to enter more billing before it kicks it back into the system and says, no, we're not going to accept that invoice. So there's options. And I can tell you more about that if we want to talk at a later time and explain that a little bit better. I can do that. And so I just want you to know that there's always options. There's always workarounds that we figured out because we've been dealing with this system for a very long time. Now, open billing window requests. Some of you may have heard these words before, and some of you may have not. When do we request an open billing window? This is when there are extenuating circumstances. Now, I love those two words. And it's funny because typically when I think of that, I'm like flat tire, and car broken down. But actually it can be you don't have the opportunity to complete your billing in that timely manner that you wish you could, right? We all wish we could submit our billing in a timely manner. And I know that's the responsibility, the expectation that's been set. But I want you to know, I understand things come up. There may be someone who gets sick. There may be a family member who gets sick. Whatever is going on, we're going to work with you. And so say February 28th has passed by, it's come and gone. And so we missed the deadline to bill. And so you will then submit an open billing window request form, and I'll show you the form here in a bit. And you will fill it out. The primary areas that people ask questions about is the project names and the reason. And so for the project name, majority of you have a funding code. So you have a funding code. So you have a identifier that says what type of funding is in your STAR system. Now the project name is actually in your STAR system. So if you open up your billing window, your STAR page, and you click on the prevention tab or whatever billing tabs you have on your left, and it shows, the funding you have, you're gonna click on that funding and it's gonna say general prevention, and it's gonna say PDO, it's gonna say FR CARA, whatever that name says that's highlighted or, in the green font, underlined, that's your project name. That's the information you're going to put on this form. And then the reason is, of course, tell us what happened. You don't have to give us a paragraph. You don't have to, pour your heart out. Just, concise, short, and to the point. Tell us what happened. We had several people out sick and we were unable to bill. I was out sick and unable to bill. Maybe the funding wasn't there. If you have any questions about, why you missed the billing window, we just have to justify why this request is being made, and pretty much we haven't had anybody's request be denied unless it's due to another reason, which funding may not be available for you to bill to. So here's what the billing request form will look like. I'll send it out to everybody. You'll all have access to it. There it is. And one thing to be mindful of is that falling colors are the STAR and falling colors. They changed their support email address. And so this is their new email address below. Some of you may have already used it before and some of you may have not, but take note of the new email address to contact them with any questions. And so what happens with the open billing window request form is it comes to the program managers. The program managers will have to sign off, date and approve or deny, but majority of the time, like I said, they're approved. And it will get sent to our behavioral health services finance department. They then turn around and take their opportunity to review and approve that information that's on the form and take it to the next level from there. We have to wait on the sidelines for those approvals to be finalized, which sometimes it takes some time, which we on the sidelines as well kind of cheer that form through and say, excuse me, we sent you a form, what's going on? And so typically it could take about a day to get through and get finalized. And sometimes it could take a week. So please follow up with us if you don't see something approved within a week's time and let us know, hey, I had sent that request in. Do we have any updates for it? Alrighty, here we go. Nitty gritty on support and documentation. So supporting documentation is where we as program managers are able to see what your billing looks like in regards to your timesheets. We look at your receipts. We look at your activity reports. We look at your calendars, and we're able to identify this cost that's in the billing for $56.36 matches your expense for purchase of office supplies. And so we want to mirror those expenses and make sure that there's concrete justification for each cost. And so we use that to literally mirror image and walk through all of your billing in alignment with what you're getting reimbursed for. So we also ask that you keep a copy in your office, at your, not necessarily at your desk, but you keep a copy and access for your records as well, because in any event there's an audit, you have that documentation to back you up as well. One thing I know I learned is just to be really good at keeping all the receipts. One of the things we do look for and star is the matching of the totals. And sometimes, we get one total that's 1 cent off. And I'll tell you, one time I did try to submit that too. I approved it, and Fallen Color shot it back at me and said, you can't approve this. It doesn't match. It's wrong by 1 cent. So knowing that that's happened to me, we want to really make sure that those totals match. And if there's a reason why they don't match, we want an explanation on those supporting documentation, why it's not matching, or, there's a journal entry coming or some sort of justification why those amounts are not matching. And if not, they should match. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. But typically, if we see that as program managers are reviewing invoices, we try to automatically send it back for corrections. And so I really want to encourage all of you today to look in STAR after the 1st and the 16th of every month to see if you have any invoices in corrections that are pending. And we as program managers will really actively work hard to email you as well to inform you, hey, we noticed that there's, your total amounts are off by a little bit. Could you please check it and make those adjustments? So just want you to be aware of that. I hope I'm good on time. Please holler at me if I'm going over. Okay, update. All righty. I need to make sure, are people awake? Are we all awake? Okay, I can see some faces. Okay, just making sure you're awake because you probably want to hear this. So I want to officially announce that we are allowing folks to do some out-of-state travel. And if you are interested, here are some guidelines. We want to be able to offer $2,000 per person per training. So say, for instance, you hear of the maybe a prescription drug conference that's happening in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I have no idea. I'm just making up stuff. You hear about a conference you really want to attend. It's for our region. It's something you're interested in attending. You I want you to make sure you have permission within your agency to travel out of state before you make those arrangements. Make sure everything is approved, and what we're allowing is $2,000 per person. You can also send 2 staff at that $2,000 to attend 1 training, or you can send 1 staff person to 2 trainings, which we just want you to make sure that you're not going over 4,000 per year. But that's kind of the max level is what we want to keep it under. And so things you can purchase with that $2,000 is lodging, flight, per diem, ground transportation, parking, registration, those types of purchases. And you know, again, it's up to $2,000. If anything goes over that, that's where you will want to coordinate with your agency to see if they have any extra funding to support you for anything over $2,000. And then this is an opportunity to take advantage of. It doesn't mean we're requiring you to do this. It just means there's an opportunity for you to take advantage of this. So I hope to see you all interested in doing this, because I know I truly miss traveling and going to these amazing national conferences. But again, that's at your comfort level, at your provider's approval, and then and we can send this out via email so that you have OSAP approval as well. This is my reminder. I love reminders because I know sometimes I need a lot of reminders. So I want to give you all reminders as well. So please take this to heart. I really want to encourage you to look at your budgets, review your budgets, and see that if at any point in time, maybe on a quarterly basis, you notice, hey, you know, I'm running out of money in program supplies, or I'm running out of funds for media, you know, or you might notice I wasn't able to hire a staff person. It's been 3 months, you know, you're checking your calendar, you're checking your time. It's been 3 months, and you're going to say that's 3 months of salary and fringe that has gone unspent. What are we going to do with those monies? And so I would love for you to get in the habit of updating your OSAP budget, checking it, updating it, and then sending it to program managers, so that if you need to move funds that aren't being spent in a particular, you know, program area, because you send us your budgets, right? You send us an annual budget, and if that budget changes, please send it to us to review before you make those changes finalized. Meaning, you know, before you, yes.
I'm sorry, there's a question from Valerie. Is the out-of-state travel in addition to our allotted amount for the year?
No, the budget, that would be if you have funds that you haven't allocated, you know, like I said, so say for instance, if you have funds that you were going to hire a staff person and you have $4,000 floating around, and you're like, I need to spend money, you can take up this option, but it's not in addition to, I don't have additional funds to give anybody for travel, but this is just to utilize within your current budget you have. Good question. Any other?
This is Tanya.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I have a question. I know that some coordinators, there might be just little coordinators, they might would want to send maybe like someone who's really close within their networks, or like a core team member. Would that be possible to work with those providers to come up with that out-of-state travel budget?
To send somebody?
Yeah, to send them to trainings.
Oh, sure.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I would strongly encourage you to send core team members, coalition members to training if you can. I would definitely encourage that.
Thank you, Tone. And I'm sure that if they have any more questions, they can just back in touch with you.
All right, sounds good. And then let me see. All right. So we're planning to host a webinar. This billing webinar will go a little bit more in depth about what do we want from providers that may change going forward, because with the change in staff, we also want to create opportunities for our billing to become less burdensome, is basically the bottom line. And so I would love to hear from you as providers. If you have methods that work for you, if you have something that, you know, this is easy for us to do and it's not hard, and this, you know, makes billing manageable, please share that with us. And we want to gather those tools that are going to make the newbies lives easier. And so I definitely want to be able to, you know, put my stamp of approval on those types of documents and methods, so that we can, you know, get a better, friendlier system as we're going forward with billing. Because I know I've been in your shoes, and I know it can be time consuming to do billing. So just want to share that bit with you. We're going to do that webinar in March. We'll be sending out that announcement soon. Of course, any other questions? And what we're going to do I hope it stopped sharing. Can you guys? Okay.
Yes, it did. It stopped.
Awesome. Okay, so if you have any other questions, we'll do some other things coming up. Let me see. All right, so let's take a break, right?
Yes, it is time for.
Yay! All right, cool. So I went over a little longer. Take a break, y'all.
When would you like us back, Tone? Would you like a 10-minute break?
Oh,
15-minute break?
let's return in 12 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll see you then.
Thank you. All righty. Are we ready? We're gonna wake back up, folks, because we have a couple more presentations. We're kicking off our OSAP recipient meeting today. So let's begin with our New Mexico Community Survey data collection presentation by Marisa and Dave from Pyre. I will hand over the mic.
Thanks, Tone. Yeah, so we just have a quick piece that we wanted to fit into the agenda today. So not a presentation, but hopefully some helpful information and reminders. Before I get started, though, I'll for those of you who don't know me or recognize my name yet from all the emails, I'm Marisa Elias. I am with the Pyre team. I am a co-PI with my colleague Dave Curry on the New Mexico Community Survey Project. Now you can put a face to the name of the emails you've been seeing. And if you haven't been seeing emails and you need to be seeing emails, please let me know. Yeah, and I don't see, are you there, Dave? Do you want to wave, say a quick hello?
Sure, yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Marisa. Yeah, mostly I'm here to thank you all for all that you do to help support all this. Marisa's really going to go through some of the reminders. But without you all doing what you do to help ensure that the community survey has really good representation from the communities that you're in, this would be nowhere near as successful, both at the state level for all that's done, and a lot is done with the data at the state level. So there's very much appreciation from OSAP and others at the state level for all that's done, but obviously then in your community. So we're happy to be doing what we do to help support your communities, and we very much thank you for all you do to support those communities, and we thank you for this from the state level as well. That's the main thing. I just wanted to pass it back to Marisa then for some of the reminders.
Great. Thank you so much, Dave. And yes, I echo what Dave said. We are so appreciative and grateful to all of you for your efforts, for your thoughtfulness that has gone into the protocols that have been submitted. It's been really, really great to get a chance to see what everyone's doing. It's been great to see people start to think about different ideas, or maybe getting out into the community to do some more in-person data collection. So we're really excited to see all that activity, and just know we're here to support you. There is no question too small. And so please reach out while you're in the field. If you're prepping late at night the day before, don't hesitate to send out an email. You'll be surprised, I might be online. So don't hesitate. Okay, I'll get started with some reminders. A lot of these were included in an email that went out at the end of last week. So just want to go over them again, a few updates. The first is going back to the protocols that have been submitted. Some have started receiving some feedback from the SEOW and Pyre reviews. Some of those started going out yesterday. They should all be, for those that have both reviews be finished, sending out today, the end of the day today. There might be a couple who might need a few more days. We are working, we are in communication and working with you, and we'll make sure that you are at a good spot and you feel good about getting started. And all that to say too, that even if your protocol doesn't, we're still working on it come the 27th, no need to worry. It's okay that you're not like ready to go on the 27th. If you are, that's wonderful. But this is a process, and we are here to help you feel good about your protocol and your activities. But anyways, as you start receiving that feedback, don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions about what the feedback means or what you need to do. We did our best to try to outline and make it as streamlined as possible this year, so that it's a one and done, you feel good and you're ready. So yeah, let us know. let's see, the other reminder is just that if you receive your feedback and you're good with your protocol, it's been approved, just remember you can't start your data collection activities until the 27th. And that's when the survey the online survey will open. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I am going to share my screen. I want to point you all to a very important website. So let's see. Okay, can you all see the NM prevention website? Get some head nods. Yes. Okay, great. So we've been referencing the website a lot. The website, the main page is just nmprevention.org. But if you come over here to program evaluation instruments and you go to New Mexico Community Survey, this is what we've been referencing in the trainings and the handbook and the emails of like where you're going to find, I believe, almost all the info you're going to need. So just to remind everyone, there are these training videos, especially for those planning to do face-to-face data collection. We just really encourage you to go take a look at that video. It provides a lot of hopefully good and helpful information, especially if it's been a while since you've been out in the field collecting surveys, just some good reminders. Also, I do want to take the opportunity to say that as you're watching this, if you have recommendations or feedback about what would be helpful to have in the video, what maybe was confusing, that is very welcome and much appreciated. This is our first year launching this series of videos that we hope like are just accessible. And we tried to make them a little brief. That way you don't have to like watch a 1-hour video in a sitting. These are broken up. The longest one is this face-to-face data collection training because there is quite a bit of information in there. Anyways, we wanted to encourage you to pop in here and go check this out. We also posted the live training that we did in February, which basically a lot of this information is covered in the Developing a Community Protocol. That's what that focus of that training was. But if you wanted to see what that was like, that's a longer video. The other tab here is this was all mostly related to developing your protocol, but this is where you can find the handbook that has a lot of information. We have some cool new features in it. Could probably answer a lot of your questions in here. But if you don't want to look at the handbook, again, just please send me an email. We are happy to answer questions. You'll also find the take-home information for if you are doing paper survey or in-person face-to-face administration. So whether that's the paper survey or the tablet, you are required to provide take-home information to the participants. That's where this is. And it's got both the English and the Spanish, and that way you can print it front and back. That way you don't have to like count how many Spanish you need, how many English, like you'll have them there ready. The other exciting thing is, oh, before I get to that, we also posted the template of a data collection tracking log that you can use. We hope this is helpful in when you're out doing in-person recruitment and data collection. This is a template you can use to help you track how many surveys you administered that day, things like that. This isn't like this template itself is not the required format. You are required to keep a tracking log of your data collection activities, but you don't have to use this template specifically. So if you want to make your own based off of this, that's perfectly fine. We just wanted to provide something in case you didn't have one handy, or maybe you're new. The last thing is we did get that MVD letter of support. So you can download that on the website as well. We're really, really grateful that we continue to count on their support to invite the community, the local community programs to come put up posters or, whatever it is. We recommend you have this letter with you when you go to your local state ran MVD to ask, just to give them a heads up, like, we want to come administer some surveys, or maybe you want to put up some posters. But we do realize that the It might look different in each community, how MBDs are doing appointments. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you if people are sitting in the waiting room again like they used to, or how that looks. So I recommend you going to check it out before you go set up, just so you have a good idea and you can come prepared.
I
All
do
right.
have a couple questions for you in the chat, Marisa, and it looks like Christina Empire has been providing some responses here, but I just want to make sure
Great.
folks are
Thank
aware of
you.
those questions.
All right, let's see. Okay. Ads. Will we receive approval denial at the same time that we receive protocol approval? Yes, if you sent in ads with your protocol submission, we'll let you know about those. Also, as you are developing them throughout the data collection period, just send them over. It's not a whole process for us to take a look at them. We just do like a quick look just to make sure that nothing is like, you know, doesn't fall within like what we would expect with doing the New Mexico Community Survey. But you know, we don't expect this to hold you up in the field. Just please send it over to us. Let us know it's a new ad that you plan to use, and you could do it, you know, halfway through whenever you're getting ready to use those. Let's see, could the MBD letter of support be used for other potential collection sites? Do you mean if that's about the template? Yeah, you're welcome to use the wording if you want to take it and create a letter for someone else. Yeah, absolutely, go for it. I think that's maybe what the question was getting at. When can we expect flyers to arrive? That's a great question. That is one of the next things I'll get into. So let me stop my sharing. Are there any questions about the website? Everyone familiar? If you're not familiar, go check it out. Okay, I'll keep going and I will answer the question about the flyers here in a sec. All right, so as far as programs who plan or might be planning face-to-face paper or tablet data collection, I showed you where that video was. Go check it out. Just a reminder, please go make sure and you re-download the paper survey templates that you want to use. We caught a few errors like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. So if you happen to download a version from a few weeks ago, it might not be the current one. So go and re-download the templates again, just to be safe. And just a reminder about those, the methamphetamine and the PFS 20 modules, they're there so that you could see what those questions are going to look like online, but they are not for printed paper use. Those are only for online data collection. Let's see. We talked about the tracking log. Spanish survey templates are also now posted on the website. The other thing that will be posted on the website today, it's in process of getting posted up there, is the flyer, the NMCS flyer with the QR code and the tiny URL. So you will be able to get that from there. Just send me a quick email if you forget and you need the URL or you need the QR code. I'm happy to share that with you. Okay. So really important coming up. We'll be sending an email about this probably by the end of the day tomorrow. We count on your help each year to do beta testing of the online survey, specifically for your county. So this is the chance for you to help us identify if your community-specific questions have been programmed correctly. So make sure that if you submitted community-specific questions, that they show up for your county, and also the modules that you have selected. So we'll be sending out an email with instructions of, to remind you, like, these are the specific things you should look for. And that will be really helpful to us because, as you can imagine, there's like, I think maybe somewhere around like between 2025, programs participating in the NMCS. So that's a lot to try to keep track of, and we do our best to double check. but it's really, really valuable to us if you can check for your county. So you'll go in to the link, take the survey as if you were someone from your county. We'll give you some instructions and some examples of other ways that you can test the link for us. And it's okay to submit it, go all the way through. What we'll do is we'll delete all of these test entries before the survey goes live on Monday. When the survey goes live on Monday on the 27th, please do not do any more testing of the survey. Now it's live. Now this is going to be, you know, responses that we're collecting as part of our samples. So we'll send these reminders in the email that goes out. Right now we're just trying to finalize some programming pieces so that it can be as ready as possible for the beta testing. All right, and then for the printed materials, for those of you who submitted requests for receiving the PIRE produced printed materials, the printing ordering stuff is going to be in process here. I apologize that it's not here before data collection gets started. As you can imagine, sometimes the process can get tied up when waiting to hear back from everyone, how many they need, and working with the printer. But so we appreciate your patience. We do expect to get that order out soon, and then as soon as we have it in our hands, we'll start mailing it out. And I'll let you all know when to be on the lookout for your order that you ordered. If you haven't put in your order to us and you do want something, please put it in today. After today, you know, it'll be hard to kind of go back and adjust our quantities. We are trying to get that order out as soon as possible. Okay, let's see. Are there any questions that I haven't answered? QR code.
I have a question. It's not going to be popular question, but it is a concern. Last year was so frustrating because every time we would check on how many surveys have been completed, that number always changed. It wasn't accurate. And even when we ended the survey, our numbers weren't reflective. So we thought we didn't get enough. And then way at the end, later on, we found out we had enough. So and then there was like, oh, these didn't count or these counted. Are those glitches fixed on counting our surveys?
Thanks for bringing that up, Joanna. So a few things. Last year was the first year we had switched to a new survey platform, it used to be Qualtrics, it was Alchemer. So there was a lot on our end of trying to just like figure out the new way to like produce these reports, because these are manual. Our PIRE team member has to go in and kind of manually do these weekly reports for our counties. And so at the beginning, I think there was just a few things to kind of work through of figuring out like the best way that we can pull the most accurate number we can have at that time. So appreciate you bringing that up. Appreciate all of your patience as we worked through all of those. We hope it goes more smoothly this year. There's some other factors that kind of go into trying to pull those specific numbers that we were pulling by. I think we were doing gender identity and race and ethnicity. We think that the way that the question is this year, it might actually make it a little faster for us to pull that by county. But yeah, so hopefully that goes a little smoother. As far as the numbers matching at the end, there is a process when the survey closes and we have all the results, right? That then the data have to get cleaned. And so we have to like go through and clean out like responses that don't count, you know, things like that. So that you have a good quality data set that gets sent to you. So that's probably where also you'll see a little bit of the numbers change. But yes, we do hope that this year that can go a little more smoothly. And as we start to do those, if just please let us know if something looks weird, something looks off, because then we can just correct that as early as possible if there's an issue or an error. I hope that answers your question. Oh, Tone, it looks like there's a question on the budget. Maybe that's something you can answer.
Yes, if you have submitted a budget, we should be reviewing those and getting back to you as soon as possible. And I'm hoping probably no later than this week to let you know if we see any issues with those. But as long as, you know, as long as you're in alignment with previous years' budget requirements, I don't really foresee any issues with anyone's budget. So we will get back to you no later than this week. Thank you.
Thank you, Tone. Great.
There's one additional question. I'm not sure if we saw our answer, or no, yes, we did. Michelle asked if there a current QR code we can put on our ads for this year's survey, and I think you did address that, Melissa.
Yes, that'll be up on the website today, but Michelle, I can also just directly send that to you if you need it. But you know, if you want to be working on something right away. All right, let's see. Okay, well, if you think of anything else, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'll put my email in the chat. Again, there is no question too small. It doesn't matter if we've said it before. If we haven't, please don't hesitate to reach out. We want you to feel good and comfortable and confident about your data collection process. We're here to support you in that. So don't hesitate to reach out if you need anything or you have any concerns. And especially if you run into any issues out in the field, if you can let us know right away if there's an incident or anything that you want to report, it's helpful to us, because then if it's something that we can help address for all the programs doing data collection in the field, then it's helpful. It's helpful for us.
I have one more thing because that's my personality. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
And I know this has been brought up. The evaluators have brought up this issue and this point, but as a preventionist, it gets really frustrating and hard to back this survey strictly because it's so long. And then halfway through, you have people that just fall out and don't finish the surveys. And then how can we possibly look at shortening these surveys, because they're like 20 minutes long and people quit taking them? I don't know how we can solve that with getting all our answers. I don't know if we do it twice a year, but then you won't get the same people. I don't know what the solution is, but that's my feedback from my community.
Yeah, thanks, Joanna. Just briefly, I think that, yeah, that's definitely been a concern, and something that we are always trying to figure out. I was just reading that. Yeah, that we've been trying to work with everyone. So, the core survey is absolutely required. We have to collect that information because it's the indicators that, OSAP is tracking, that we're all tracking as part of like what's, in our scopes of work. And so, we do our best to try to like make that as like concise and efficient as possible. But then after that, when you start adding modules and community specific questions, like that also kind of helps make the survey a little longer. So it's kind of a balance that I think each year we're trying to figure out what's the best way to kind of balance like the requirements, right? And then like the things that are maybe not required, but that are very important to our stakeholders and coalition, partners. And so I think the first thing is like just the more you can like work really closely with your evaluator on talking about and thinking about what is the information that we really do need, that we really do need to use, what information can we alternate from year to year, having those kinds of conversations. But please note, Joanna, that it is something that we are constantly trying to think about, and that we hope that as we continue to work with you all and hear from you all, that we can find ways to alleviate that. So that's what I'll say. I don't know if anyone else from the Pyre team or any of our other evaluators, I welcome you to also chime in if you have any recommendations based on how you've approached this in your communities, because I know it's been definitely something that's been on everyone's mind.
And my concern is too, like, we want to hit all the population, and we want feedback from like every demographic and people who are users as well. But you're gonna most likely get your data from people that are like clean and straight, and you know what I mean? Because they have that attention span to fill it out. I don't want to sound biased, but I'm just realistic about like these different populations we serve and their attention span to even complete the surveys.
Yeah.
This is Tone. Oh,
yeah, go ahead, Tone, please.
this is Tone. I think, thanks for your feedback, Joanna. And that was one of the things that I liked about in-person paper surveys, is you have time to work with individuals who may struggle with filling out the survey in a timely manner. And one of the things too that I just want to stress to all of you, and it takes time to build up that familiarity with the community doing the community survey, your population doing the survey. One of the things that I used to stress is that we use this information to help improve our prevention systems, help incorporate better activities, all kinds of data that can go back and be used to help us plan, help us organize, help us strategize what is going to work best for our community. And so one of the things that took me, was my elevator speech to present to anybody, like, we use this data for a reason. Please fill out our survey. And it took us a long time to really build that time frame. I used to say it's going to take you longer. Like, I used to be honest. I'm like, they anticipate it's going to be 15 minutes. I remember back in the day it was like, oh, it's a 15-minute survey. I'm like, it's going to take you longer. I used to tell folks, and but I told them, take your time with the survey, answer all the questions that are applicable to you, that make sense to you, and the tough part is that sometimes if they don't answer a question, then those surveys get kicked out, right? If they don't, there's certain parameters built in there, but I would just say continue to do the best you can with advising, your community members to please fill out this survey. Just encouragement from, I don't know if you can get a community leader to say, I support community members filling out the community survey. Just having some sort of support system as well, that, take the time to fill it out. Just some of those positive messages too is helpful, or even the kids, who benefits from this? Who, how is this impacting your community? I would turn it around and say, your time, your 30 minutes is going to help in the long run, for our programs, for our, our efforts within the community. And so I think that there's a way to do it. And thinking about incentives, you made me think about too, are we making sure, hey, if you fill this out, you have a chance to win a gift card. If that doesn't, if the heart to heart doesn't work, I'd be like, I remember I used to stand there with like snacks, like, could you please fill this out? I'll give you a bottle of water. Even some of those simple things. And that's kind of the stuff where I work better in person, where I'm like, I could sell people on doing the survey versus online. But, I think if there's a way for somebody in your community to say, I want to encourage our you know, our county to please, you know, fill out this survey. It's gonna it's gonna have a strong impact on what's happening in our prevention systems, or, you know, our outreach that's being coordinated across our community, you know, just brings to light a lot of different things. So just wanted to mention that. Tyson has his hand raised. What's up, Tyson?
Hey, good morning, everybody. First and foremost, hope everybody's doing well. Yeah, I have a comment and a question on the surveys. So my comment is also, you know, post COVID, I know that our communities are going to be hit with a lot of different surveys, because there's going to be public, there's going to be behavioral health surveys. I know for my community, there's going to be 4 different surveys that's going to be administered. So, you know, that's first of all my comment. And then my question is, you know, I am kind of skeptical about collecting the amount of surveys that we are supposed to collect. So in that case, if we do get less, what does that look like?
That's a good question, Tyson, and I appreciate you bringing that up because there are a lot of new staff. So, you know, that the reference that's given in the protocol template is just like it's to provide a reference of, like, you know, something that you should strive for, that it helps to have if your sample, you know, I think that the number in there is like, if you can collect a sample of 300, that's great. But there's no penalty for not reaching that, right? This is, you know, you are working in your community, you are doing the work, you know, your community, you're doing the best you can when you design your protocol of addressing, right, of figuring out, you know, these are the places we need to be, where we can get, you know, all community members. But there's, you know, there's not going to be a penalty. It's just more of like understanding, like, obviously the more numbers you have, right, the more information you have. And so we, you know, we provide that reference there as something to strive for. But, you know, for especially since COVID, it's been a really hard number to reach for some communities, especially thinking about like our rural communities, our smaller communities, our tribal communities. Like, there's all these different sometimes like limitations in getting the word out in collecting online surveys. So yes, so thanks for your question. Please note that, you know, there's not a penalty for not reaching your number. And if you are concerned and if you're concerned about, you know, I'm doing all these things, I don't know, like, feel free to reach out to us. We're like happy to talk about your process and provide as much like ideas and support as we can to help you feel good about your process.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Marisa. Thank you all for your wonderful questions. So now we will transition into one of our last provider highlights for today. And we will have Joseph Hill from the Center for Health Innovation joining us. Joseph, you have the mic. Are you ready?
I am ready to rock. Let's do this.
Awesome.
All right. So can everybody hear me? Can everybody see me?
Yes.
Yes. Yay. All right. So I need a favor from everybody so that we can move forward in a positive manner. All right. Look, we've all been on Zoom for a while. We have Zoom fatigue. I need everybody to get their brain chemistry right first. So whether you're on camera or not, could you just smile for me? Just trick your brain. It doesn't even have to be a real smile. All right, good. Now, I realized a few things, and I'm just going to say these up front. Now, I have a 30-minute presentation that apparently I need to now do in 10 minutes. And 2, I'm like the last person before lunch, it seems. So, look, I know where I am, so I'm going to do my best to move quickly for all of you guys, and so we can get our blood moving, get our blood sugar happening when we eat lunch and everything. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And hopefully you see the right screen, because Tone, I identified with you. I've got 3 screens here, so I never know what people can see. Can everybody see the actual presentation, or do you see the notes?
We see the presentation.
Hooray!
And Joseph, you have time. You can take the 30 minutes you need. You have time.
Oh, that's dangerous to say to me. I used to be a okay. All right, so I'm here to talk to you today about doing prevention work in rural spaces. And I like to call people that do amazing things rock stars. And I have the privilege of working with multiple rock stars. And I'm excited because many of you, if not all of you, are rock stars. So I want to share with you our top 4 prevention hits. If you didn't catch that, my name is Joseph Hill. I'm the Director of Prevention and Community Collaborations with the Center of Health Innovation, which is New Mexico's Public Health Institute. So let's get going here. All right, so just a little bit about my background so you understand the perspective that I'm speaking from. One, I've been a rural and frontier health advocate for the last 10 years. I actually, before I took the position at CHI, I worked for the National Center for Frontier Communities for 8 years. I have prevention experience from different angles, so I'm speaking from a lot of different perspectives. So, I've been a sector lead or a core team member in a coalition. I've been a coordinator. I've been a program director. I've been a fiscal agent. I know what prevention looks like from all of those perspectives, but I also understand the challenges from all of those perspectives in rural communities. Here at CHI, we currently represent 7 prevention coalitions, all serving rural areas. 6 of them are actually set in rural and frontier areas. One of our coalitions is in Dona Ana County, which is like the 2nd largest population center in New Mexico. However, it is surrounded by several rural communities that still struggle with similar rural struggles that any other rural community would struggle with. But since I'm introducing this concept of music into it, I think it's important that you know that I'm a lifelong musician. And if you see me back in my better days where I had a better hairline, this picture is probably about maybe 12 years old. I'm that brown and yellow smudge you see there on the screen, running a rock band from back in the day. All right, here is my favorite rock band currently, though, and this is our OSAP team. We span across 4 counties with our OSAP funding specifically. And so we have, and they're all on the call here today. We have Jessica Garcia in Dona Ana. We've got Valerie Kling in Grant County, who is also my associate director. She is awesome. I've got Erin Small in Dona Ana. I've got Josephine Vienna, who just joined with us in Sierra County. And I've got Angelica Rodriguez, A-Rod, as I call her in my head, like the famous baseball player, in Luna County. And we have been rocking it out for a while. And I want to talk to you about what I call prevention as a rock band. And there's a reason why I always think of it this way. And I've thought of it this way for years. Because just like if you've ever played in a musical situation, maybe you played in your school band, or maybe you played with a church group or something like that, you kind of understand this concept of people playing different instruments that do different things. So for instance, the bass guitar, they lay down the groove, the drums, they keep the rhythm guitar, they help the bass with the groove as well. But then the lead guitar, they bring in the melody, and the vocals, they bring in the melody, but also they put meaning on top of it with their words. And prevention is much like that, because as you work with your core teams, you have people that do different things. You have your law enforcement that might bring in more of a punitive sense of it, but then you have your treatment providers that link the prevention that we do into the interventions. And I could provide a myriad of examples that you guys all understand and know because you live this. But here's the key thing. It only works when you're playing the same song. One of my favorite times in warming up with a band is usually before you get started, because a lot of times people will just play random different things. But here's the thing, it sounds terrible. because everybody's playing something different at the same time. But when everybody's playing the same thing, beautiful, magical things can happen. Now, one thing also about the band setup, the rock band setup in prevention, is that some bandmates are more visible than others, and that's okay. It's okay. Now, for instance, maybe you know Mick Jagger is the lead singer of the Rolling Stones, but maybe you have no clue who the bass player was, right? And that's okay, because they're still an amazing band that have sold bajillions of records and made an amazing impact. And that's kind of the point. We can have a massive influence on the public, and that's huge. There is so much power in your rooms and across this virtual room that we're all in together, because we literally save lives. We make differences. One of the hard things about prevention is when you do it well, nobody notices. However, we are making a big impact, and it's important to always remember that. And remember that when you're playing in your rock bands and rocking out in your communities with prevention, that's what you're doing. So here are CHI's top 4 prevention hits. One, it's a concept more than anything. That rules, which is a strengths-based perspective. I'll talk about that briefly. Number 2, connection with an audience, a personal connection with an audience, which is around stakeholder engagement. What I call bigger shows and smaller clubs, which has to do with equity, and the concept of touring with other bands, which I call sustainability. So hit number 1, I want to talk about the strengths-based perspective, and maybe some of you on the call are from a social work background or a human services background. This is often one of the foundational principles of those modalities. The strengths perspective focuses on the strengths and resources of people, communities, and their environments, rather than their problems and pathologies. Now, those of you who live and work in rural and frontier communities, which, by the way, though my offices are in Silver City, I live in the metropolis of Lordsburg, and some of you are like, what's Lordsburg? And that's kind of my point. Anyways, it's important to understand that as many challenges as rural and frontier communities have, there are also so many benefits and so many beautiful things that people don't actually get unless they live in these communities or they've had the opportunity to experience some of these beautiful things, right? We're just as strong as we are as far as having challenges. And it's important to start with that from the beginning. And so on the right-hand side, there's a picture of me. I was in Quamato there. Does anybody know where Quamato is? A few of you, I bet. Has anybody been to Quamato? Quamato is one of those places, yeah, I'm seeing people are like, nope, what's Quamato? Quamato is one of those places that you don't go there unless you have a reason. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's a very windswept community. But I saw somebody said great fishing, which, you know, it's amazing anytime you have water in the state. So amen to that, sister. So I was actually scheduled to do a presentation to the middle schoolers and high schoolers in Quamato High School and Middle School in their school. And I show up already. I had a certain amount of copies because I had handouts for everybody. And it was cool because I met literally everybody in the school district, because it's all housed in just one small building, from pre-K all the way up to senior year of high school. And I met the superintendent, I met the principal, I met everybody, and it was amazing. And then they say, hey, can you present to the entire school? And I thought in my head, okay, I have a very focused presentation that is specifically for young adults, pretty much. But I said, sure, why not? Let's do this. I only had a certain amount of copies. You could see a couple of those people holding the copies. Now, all of a sudden, I just had enough for about maybe, I don't know, 12% of the school district. But you know what I also thought, as I thought of all of the challenges? I thought, wow, I have this opportunity to share best practices and awareness around behavioral health and substance misuse with an entire school district all at once. And I thought, man, this wouldn't happen anywhere else because it's a benefit to be in a rural place. So rural and frontier communities, they're flexible, just like that situation. They're resilient. And also the thing that I love, if you can't tell that I like to talk, they're relational, right? Sometimes it's hard to get things done business as usual in rural communities. And I just heard somebody out there that's in a rural community right now just say amen to that. However, you can actually have relationships with the people that you're serving, more so than in places with larger population areas. And that is an important thing. So that's our first hit, just our mindset. Our mindset is what pretty much leads the way for our success. Understanding that we aren't in a place where we're disadvantaged, we're actually advantaged. So, I see the amens in the chat. So, was that Joanna? Go Caveman. All right, so hit number 2, connect with the audience. And that's another thing. Here, I want to show you a little video that Aaron, also with the assistance of Jessica, made here. And here's some examples of some of the community building things that they've been doing in Doña County. Many of them are set in rural areas. So here you see them just preserving the creations of our culture. You see, I'll see one of my favorite pictures soon. I love this, protecting our future and changing this world. Nurturing our traditions by working together for a better tomorrow. I love this picture. How often do you see a black priest on a horse? I'm just saying. Anyways, connecting with partners that live and breathe with us all. Here's an example of them doing some talk they hear you work. Here's them working with the National Guard, who I'll talk about later, who has been a phenomenal partner with us. But serving the community with time and love. Building cultural bridges that connect us to the religious sector of our communities, which has been a massive hit for us in Doña County. And speaking in such a way that will be respected, appreciated, and understood. You see here a campaign that we do in Espanol, just making sure that we literally speak the language of our people, which, based on your cultural competency is going to be different in different areas, but that's the key thing. So when we try to create an intimate connection with our audience, the successful strategies that we've had are mainly identifying the most impactful institutions or industries in our communities. I gave a shout out to Joanna because I used to live out there in Carlsbad. And let me tell you, you can't move a lot of things without engaging with the oil and gas community. Out here in this area in Grant County and Hidalgo County and some of the surrounding areas, it's dominated by the mining industry, right? So if you really want to move some work, a lot of times you have to engage with them as well. You have to be mindful of wherever you are. In tribal communities, you have to engage with tribal leadership, right? Rural communities tend to have to rely more on key institutions than larger places. And so understanding what that is in your community, and it's going to be different for communities. In some communities, the church has phenomenal impact. It is a big deal. In some communities, maybe not so much. But a lot of times in rural communities, that's one of the public centers for everybody. It's usually the place where you can catch everyone. So if you get Father so-and-so or Pastor so-and-so on board, you get a lot of other people on board too. Also, just understanding the values, making sure you understand the religious leanings or the political leanings or the various cultural manifestations in your particular community. Understanding not just how people think about things and their worldviews and the way they group themselves, but also how do people culturally present themselves? What's considered rude? What's considered polite? Just truly getting to the bottom of understanding that about your community and understanding that a lot of our prevention work is embedded in those things if we move within those rules. And has anybody, virtual show of hands or whether you're on screen, has anybody ever heard of WIFM? Those of you who work with me often always hear about it because I never stop talking about it. All right, I literally can only see one person and I'm getting a blank stare from them when I say WIFM. So I'm going to assume that most people have no clue what WIFM is. WIFM is probably one of the most important things that you need to understand in engaging with rural communities, but with anybody for that matter. WIFM, it stands for what's in it for me. In other words, you need to be able to answer that question when you're working with community partners, but also the community themselves. For instance, and look, I truly believe that it's much harder to do surveys, for instance, like as that just came up, in rural communities. But as you do these surveys, you have to very clearly answer the question, well, what's in it for me, right? Or if you're doing if you're trying to work with the school district, well, what's in it for them? Are you just asking them to do more work for free, or is there some benefit to them, right? So another hit that we have in connecting with our audience is just simply asking ourselves that question, what's in it for me? And trying to understand the motivations that can bring people to the table for community partners. So hit number 3, bigger shows in smaller clubs. I want to briefly talk to you about my favorite show, and I'm an avid lover of music. I've been to a lot of different concerts over the years, but my absolute favorite one was one that I actually went to recently. Things were finally starting to open up, and I went to this concert in Phoenix. I saw this band called Bent Knee. You've probably never heard of them, and that makes me feel special because I have. Anyways, this band, which is an art rock band from Boston that nobody cares about, to be honest, was touring, and they never come out west because they're based in the East. And in this venue, there was probably only about 100 people to come see the band. But that was the beauty of why this was so amazing, because we could really have this intimate experience with this band. And I was so close to them that I could actually smell them, which, they were touring in a van for a while. So that actually wasn't a pleasant thing, but I won't tell you any more about that. But I link this specifically with equity, all right? And because the reality is smaller and more geographically isolated populations often have fewer resources. Not often, they always have fewer resources, right? So what if we strategically flip this on its head to reach more people? In other words, instead of trying to work from the largest populations to get impact, what if we started with smaller communities and snowballed our influence? And I want to tell you the story of Angelica here, one of our rock stars in Luna County. One of her strategies that many of you probably have is to engage with the school system and make sure that their zero tolerance policies are addressed, and that people are doing the proper things with their policies that actually hurts our kid or does not harm our kids with unintended consequences. And she was having a hard time getting with the largest school in her district, with Lordsburg High School. And to be honest, it's still kind of a challenge to get working with them. And many of you probably struggle with the same issue. However, one school saw the value of what she was doing and pretty much gave her carte blanche. She can pretty much just walk in there whenever she wants and give any type of presentation or do anything she wants to do. Maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but they have really opened the doors for her. And this is a beautiful thing. This is a beautiful thing. Because of this, the other schools that were a little bit more resistant, they're actually returning calls and emails now, just because of this small action. So that is a picture of the concept in action, right? Building influence in smaller venues before playing big arenas, right? If you ever struggle with a particular system, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's schools, whether it's treatment providers, try to find the smallest venue in which you can relate with them and work with them and figure out their WIFM and work with them. And I promise you, the more you do that and the more you build your street cred amongst that population, the easier it is for you to get to the point where you begin to play in arenas. We strategically seek out smaller groups in specific populations for multiple reasons. One, if we pay attention to our data, a lot of times you can understand that some smaller populations may get larger impacts by working specific strategies within that population. However, I say run with that. Don't just do that just to check something off the box. I say start small on purpose with the intention of reaching the general population, because all of these smaller things that people are a part of, the general population is connected to. So that's our third hit. What's our fourth hit? Touring with other bands. Touring with other bands. Because we live in such a resource poor state, a lot of times we find ourselves competing for resources rather than collaborating with resources. I know I heard an amen from somebody on that one. I heard it out there. Here's the thing. Because we are a resource poor state, and many of us, oh, I see that amen, Dr. Lilliot. Because we're such a resource poor state, because many of us are in resource poorer counties and communities in the resource poor state, we can't afford to be competitive. We can only be collaborative to move forward. And so this has been one of our most successful strategies. And people see us, and yeah, we're kind of larger as CHI, and we're spread out, and we have a lot of things across the state. But the reality is, the reason why we appear so successful is because we're good at working with partners, because we have to in a state like New Mexico. And so one of our top strategies, one of our top hits, is simply just doing everything we can to work with everybody else, to not just build capacity within ourselves, but to do everything we can to build capacities and on our partners. Because you know what, when you do that well enough and you build that relationship, it always comes back to you in some way, shape, or form. And they in turn build our capacity, and then everybody gets to win, and we get to see lives saved in our communities. So some successful strategies. One, just finding regional partners that serve the community areas. And the more rural or frontier you are, please hear me, because and I come from this with experience on this. You definitely want to involve all of the people in your community, but there are people outside of your community that probably have resources that can be very impactful in your community. They don't have to be the face, they can be the bass player, they can be the drummer, they don't have to be the lead guitarist or the vocalist. You be that person. People in your community can be that person. But find those regional partners. And sometimes they're not traditional partners. Sometimes they're corporations. Sometimes they're larger hospitals. Sometimes they're federal agencies. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to work with DEA, but they're a phenomenal partner. They're really changing a lot of their approaches. Whatever you can find, work with them. But also you have to be strategic in opening doors for other partners, because it encourages them to open doors for us. And again, win-win. So you may have a hard time getting into a specific sector, and another group may already be there, and vice versa. You may be there and they may have a hard time. Well, if you help them get there, a lot of times they can help get you where you need to go. Or sometimes when you package yourself with somebody that has more cultural proximity, or what I call street cred, a lot of times you can get in the door when you couldn't before. And so we're very intentional here. And so you see our rock star here, Valerie, with the National Guard, who has been one of our primary partners in multiple counties, along with Silver City Schools, and working together to bring prevention efforts together. They have their initiatives, we have our initiatives. We work together, it's win-win. Doors are open, everybody's excited, which, you know, if people are in uniform, I want them excited around me because, you know, they have access to weapons. All right. Proactively assisting orientation of recently turned over partners. This is a huge opportunity. And I want to go back to the concept of the strengths-based perspective, okay? See, one of our challenges, and I know this is true for all of us on this call here today, we deal with so much turnover at every level, whether it's the state, whether it's in our own coalitions, whether it's the positions that we use for our coordinators, whether it's the partners and their positions and their leadership. New Mexico, at one point, led the country in people moving from it. That was recently, I think that was in 2017. And many of the people that left it were people that were just looking for work somewhere else. That's just what it looks like right now. However, how do we turn this challenge into an opportunity? Well, one of those things is helping your partners orient themselves with the pertinent community partners, with the prevention efforts. And here's the beautiful thing about that. When you do that well and you build a culture around that, when you have turnover in your own organization, they'll help you do the same. So that's another strategy that we do, one of our hits. But then I want to turn it back to you guys, because here's the reality. You guys rock. And I'm not just saying that to be cheesy and to just be positive. Like, it's hard to do this work. It's harder to do this work in a rural and frontier community, because you aren't going to have the same support that other people are going to have. And you're going to feel all alone. And a lot of times, what might be considered best practices maybe 10 years ago, maybe it's just showing up to your community. And you have to work at the speed of your community. It's hard. It's hard. Yet, we continue to remain, and we continue to be resilient, and we continue to be strong, and we continue to save lives and influence people for the better. So I want to commend you all for that work, and I want to commend you for staying in your communities as long as you can and doing that work where it is hard to do that work. And I want to say that you rock. So thank you. And I think I just hit the end of my time. I think I hit the end of all of our time. So I will just turn it back over. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Joseph. Oh, I value your words so much. I swear you were, you took my notes or something. I'm like, he is right on track. And thank you for that wonderful, heartfelt presentation. That really hit me at the core, and I could totally understand where you're coming from, and I hope all of our providers out there understand as well, and felt something good from this from your presentation. And so thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for your insight, and I love I love your interpretation, your rock star presentation. And so it was fun, and it was interactive, and it was great. So thank you. I have one hopefully real quick wrap up for all of you. Thank you so much that we had such a really filled day, and a lot of things covered from our Northern folks, Rocky Mountain Youth Corps. Thank you so much for your presentation on engaging with youth. I mean, it's just really powerful work that you're doing there and in your community. Thanks to Paula Feathers for the workforce training system overview, and please sign up for more trainings with the training system. I would like to thank Marisa for the New Mexico Community Survey information that we were able to hear about today, and questions got answered. And again, thanks again to Joseph for the presentation of prevention in rural communities. For tomorrow, we will have a couple different breakouts. And so tomorrow, Wednesday, February 22nd, please join us again. Our SAPT providers, block grant providers, you will, I hope you have all registered for all 3 trainings. Because we get to have some time with you all to discuss the WISE document tomorrow in the morning. And then for the 10, and that the morning starts from 9 to 10 with the WISE document breakout session. And then from 10:20 to 11:20, we will have promising approaches for reducing substance misuse related health disparities in rural contexts. And there will be a separate Zoom link for that. If you are registered for that, you should have received that Zoom link. And then we have an additional training from 11:40 to 12:40, which is decolonizing mental health. And you should have been able to receive those Zoom links if you register for those. If you have any issues with registration, please get a hold of Jennifer, who's on the Zoom right now, and we will take a break. And well, actually, we will adjourn. I have a break, but the rest of you all have a great, amazing day, amazing afternoon. And again, thank you for your time. For our block grant providers, please join us for the breakout at 1:30, and I will see you all soon. Andrea, is there anything else we need to cover? Oh, I believe there's a survey that will be shared after the meeting is over. Is that correct?
That's right, Tone. You covered, I think, all the bases. Just so everyone knows, registration is closed, but Jennifer did send out all of the Zoom links this morning for all the upcoming breakouts.
Perfect.
We'll take attendance in each of those breakouts, so we'll be sure to grab your names when you're in attendance. And there will be a very short survey when you close your Zoom window. Please give us some feedback so we can plan a great meeting for you in August.
Yes, thank you all, and we'll see SAPT providers at 1:30 on the Zoom invite that was sent out for this afternoon. So look forward to seeing you all.